Does your podcast not look as good as you would want it to? If so, then this episode is really going to help you. Welcome back to Oh My Pod, the podcast that teaches you how to automate and grow your podcast. My name is Justin J. Moore. I'm a singer-songwriter with 50 million streams on my songs. I write for K-pop and for dance music. I'm also a music content creator with about 400,000 followers across platforms. And on top of that, I'm the CEO of Podigy Podcasts, a company that helps coaches and experts launch growing podcasts. So this episode is all about making your podcast look better. So we all know that a podcast needs to sound great, but it also needs to look great. And I have compiled, let me see how many things I have here, 7 things that are going to immediately upgrade the way that your podcast looks, guaranteed. If you have some of these things done, then you're already going to be a portion of the way there. But every single piece here is important and I think will make a big difference to your overall show quality. And if you are a listener of this show, then you probably are not just podcasting for fun, but you also want your podcast to grow your business, to grow your brand, and ultimately lead to you making more money so that you can have an even bigger impact. And to be totally honest, when people are deciding whether or not they want to work with you, whether that's clients or potential partners or whatever, they are going to look at the quality of all the content that you have on the internet. So if you have a podcast that's out there, they're going to see it. And if it doesn't look good, it doesn't really matter if it sounds good. If it looks terrible, they're going to make a judgment on that because a lot of people will say that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So we want the quality of your podcast to be high. It's really not that hard to do. But this is all about the visual elements. So let's get into the 7 things one by one. But before I start, I just want to say that I will be creating a video training that goes more into depth on some of these elements and gives specific examples, as well as provides links to the exact stuff that I would recommend purchasing or using that goes along with this video. So that's inside my free school community. If you've been a listener for a while, you know that I'm always wanting people to get into that free community. There's thousands of dollars of trainings and resources, totally free. You can also connect with me there. So the link for all that will be below. Anyways, let's get into it. Number 1, you may notice that over the last few episodes, my camera quality looks a lot better. So did I get a camera? Did I get a webcam? Did I spend a bunch of money on like a Sony camera? No, I didn't. I literally just stopped using my laptop camera and went to using my phone camera. But not just my phone camera. I'm using the back camera specifically of my phone. Now, I think that when I was watching, when I watch YouTube videos and I see people with incredible camera quality, the people who are making like video documentaries or whatever, like the solo YouTubers, I always thought that they were using super, super expensive cameras. But what I've found out recently is that many of them just use the back camera of their phone. It is so good. Like it's so much better than I ever realized it was. And I really should have known this before, but I'm always learning. I'm always upgrading my podcast. I'm also an audio person first. And so anyways, full transparency here. This was a huge upgrade that I should have been doing for a while. If you have an iPhone with a good back camera, then this is something that you're missing out on if you're not doing. And it's very easy. So all you need for this is tripod and your phone camera. That's it. So you set up your little tripod. You can buy one from Amazon for like $20 and then you just record with the back camera of your phone. There's some softwares that allow you to record the video and audio at the same time and have it kind of mirror through your phone so you can see everything. I am not 100% confident in any of those platforms yet, so I won't share them, but they do exist. However, what you can do is use something like Riverside or whatever, Zoom, however you're recording, get the audio through Riverside, but then upload the phone video separate and just your editors will sync them up afterwards. If you don't have an editor, you can sync them up. Highly recommend you have an editor though. So use the back camera of your phone with the tripod and then uploading those files all together. Super simple, massive, massive upgrade. Especially if you're creating clips from your podcast, you want those to look like super high quality when they go out onto your Instagram and everywhere else. And this is a really easy way to upgrade that. So number 2 kind of goes along with number 1, and that is the camera angle. So episode 40 of this podcast was the single best episode I did for home studio setup. So the guy who I interviewed for that is an absolute expert at home studios. He showed like every single part of his setup from all angles. So the YouTube video for that is elite if you want to upgrade your studio. But I'm going to take a tip that I got from him in that episode, which is your camera angle. So you want the camera to be in a position where there's very little space above your head. So I'm looking at my angle right now, and I mean, this is pretty much exactly what you recommended. I have like 2 fingers of space above my head, not even like 1 finger of space above my head, because you don't need to have extra space above your head. There's no reason for it. So just having the camera be at a spot where, it's pretty much just your head at the top, and then the rest of it is whatever. So removing dead space from the top is one thing that you can do right away. Obviously, you don't have the camera angle like too low or anything, because then you just get like chin and like you're just like an under angle, which is not good. So just straight on and having it so that, yeah, little space above your head, straight on. And I think that's kind of it. So then we have recording with the back camera, having the right angle, which is essentially just not having dead space above your head. And then number 3 would be to get a light. So a light obviously is essential, especially if you don't have some type of like natural light. Natural light is great, obviously, from like a window. But the thing with that is that it's unpredictable. You can't control it. So using I have like a panel light here. I think it was like $100 or something. And this is something that I've only recently started using because like I said, I'm really upgrading all of my visual setup. And I think that you should too, which is why I'm making this. So getting a light to go along with that back camera on your phone is going to make such a big difference to the video quality. You're going to look like you're in a professional studio. Number 4 would be something that I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about. I think it's kind of flown under the radar, but that's getting like branded material for your podcast and showcasing that within your recordings. So what I mean by that is a few different things. You could have a hat with the logo of your podcast on it or the name of your podcast. This is actually something we do for all of the clients that we work with. By the end of our time launching their show, we actually send them a hat that they can wear when they're recording or give to a friend or give to their kid or something. But just having some piece of branded material for your podcast makes it so much more legit. And your audience will really, really feel that, especially new time listeners, because they're thinking, okay, like this host put in the effort to actually go and get merch made for their podcast. So they must really care about this. So it makes a big difference. So you can do a hat, you can do a t-shirt. Obviously, one thing that we thought of was like putting a sticker on your microphone, which is what we did here. I'm not using the podcast name, I'm using my business name, but you can do either. Either way, it makes a huge difference. So a sticker for your microphone, hat, t-shirt, or what is maybe a bit more advanced and a bit more effort is getting a sign for your podcast. This can range anywhere from like $100 to multiple thousands, depending on what kind of sign that you want made. But I do know of one of our clients who used Etsy to get a sign made for around $100 that looks amazing. It was this big circle with the name of the podcast and the logo. And she put that behind her podcast, and it really upgrades the level of professionalism. Like it's more than just, person talking into mic. It's like, this is a legit show now, right? So it makes a huge difference. It's something that I would really recommend investing in, especially if you have your own space where you're just there, always recording in the same spot. Having this will make a huge difference. So number 5 would be to pick 5 to 10 books that are your favorite books and putting them in the background somewhere where people can see them when you're recording. And as you may notice, I am doing this right now. I had these far in the background, but I brought them front and center because I was just thinking like, your favorite books say a lot about you. And when somebody, even me, when I go to a podcast and I see that somebody has $100 million Leads by Alex Hormozi in the back or something like that, I immediately know that we have a bunch of things in common. And just by reading that book, I know that we share a lot of the same ideas, and it connects me with that person immediately. And it makes it easier for me to trust them as the expert, and it makes it easier for me to immediately listen to their ideas because I know that they have a proxy that's the same as me, if that makes sense. So having books in the background, just pick 5 to 10 books and drop them somewhere. Like this is something that you have no excuse for not doing. Like it's so simple. Drop them somewhere in the background and people will connect with that. It showcases your personality and really just boosts your perceived expertise. Number 6 is not to do with video or your studio setup or anything, but it's your podcast artwork. Now, I see a lot of weird podcast artwork. I'm sorry to say it, but podcast artwork is simple. it needs to be simple. It needs to be pretty much just the name of the podcast and maybe a logo or a picture, and that's it. People have like descriptions of what the show is. They have like keywords of what they talk about. It's like most people are just seeing your podcast artwork through the tiny little box on Apple and Spotify. We cannot read little words. We cannot read, we can barely even read your name if it's on there all small. Look, we want the artwork to be super simple. A clear picture of you or the podcast logo and the name of the show, and that's it. And one thing that I want to say is it's never too late to change your podcast artwork. Podcasts are developing forms of content. They evolve as your business evolves. And so it's okay to change that artwork. And actually an upgrade is always welcome from your audience. So if you think that your artwork is like really complex and you're like, listening to this, switch it up, man. We want to see something that is memorable and easily recognizable. We don't want a whole bunch of random stuff clogging up the visuals. Number 7 is your YouTube channel presence, your YouTube channel visual setup. So optimizing your YouTube, especially if you are changing your camera quality and all these things, you're getting all these things together, just go ahead and take 30 minutes and upgrade your YouTube channel. It's literally going to take no time, but it's going to make such a big difference. I have a few of the main things listed here. There's some obvious things, have a channel description, take some time to make sure that the show notes are right in each of your episodes. So if you're getting show notes done for you, make sure that they're actually being copied onto the YouTube, all that stuff. But the main 3 things that you can immediately do to upgrade the way that your channel looks for newcomers and making sure that you look professional is number 1, have a pinned video on your channel, whether that is a specific video that you make for YouTube where you're like, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to my podcast page. This is the show where we help these people achieve this thing, something like that. Or you could literally just grab your favorite episode or favorite interview and pin that, because that's going to represent what the show is right there. Especially if it's a good episode, that is the show. That's the highlight reel of the show. And it's super simple. You literally just have to click pin video and there you go. Now you have a pinned video to your channel. Number 2 is your YouTube banner. So just like Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, you have a banner that kind of sits behind your profile picture. Get that presentable. Drop your colors in there, your logo. Look at what other people are doing. Go to Canva, find a template and upload that. Takes 10 minutes. Huge difference will be made from that. Number 3, arguably the most important thing, your thumbnails. Now, if you are lucky enough to have your videos show up in front of people who are scrolling through YouTube, then the thumbnail is going to be one of the biggest factors in whether or not they click, that combined with the title. Now, I'm not saying you have to get like into the science of thumbnails, because there is a literal science behind it, like of psychology and what people will click on. I can't even imagine how much money and time Mr. Beast spends on his thumbnails. So you can go really deep into it. But what we're really looking for is to just have it be presentable and professional so that if somebody lands on the YouTube, it's looking good. And I see a lot of people who just have the video and that's it. There's no thumbnail. It's literally just you look at it and it's the title and then just the video. And immediately I'm like, oh, they just didn't put the effort in. They could have, but they just didn't. So the effort is easy to make. Go into Canva again, create a template for a thumbnail that makes sense for your podcast or have your team do it. And every single time that an episode comes out, you'll have a nice thumbnail to go along with it. Even if you're not paying too much attention to the text that you write on the thumbnail, just having the thumbnail there is going to help people understand that you're really doing this right. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. To recap everything, let's go through all 7 again. So the back camera of your phone, getting the right angle, having a light so that your face is lit up, branded material, stickers, hat, t-shirt, sign, other stuff, whatever, shoes, I don't know. Pick 5 to 10 of your favorite books, get them in the background so people can immediately connect with your ideas and understand that, you guys have things in common. Number 6, artwork, make it simple and clear. Number 7, YouTube channel, optimize it, make it look good, and put all those things together. And you have taken your podcast visual score from a 0 to an 8 or a 9. The only other things you could do is like really have a crazy background, multiple camera angles, more lights, stuff like that. So there is ways you can continue upgrading. But really, you don't need that to start out with. You can always make upgrades. But I really do think it's important to start your show off strong. So get those things, those easy, low-hanging fruit, get those taken care of as soon as you can. This episode was produced by me, Justin Moore, and my amazing team, Podigy Podcasts. They did the post-production, the video editing, the audio editing, all that fun stuff. Like I said before, there'll be a video training to go along with this inside my free school community. I would love to see you in there. We can connect. There's group coaching. There's all kinds of fun stuff in there. You can connect with other people as well. And it's totally free. So hope to see you in there. And I also hope to see you on next week's episode.